Good evening, everyone. How is everyone doing? Is everyone alive and well, or is everyone being cooked alive like a fucking steak because of this bastard heat? How is everyone today? The weather is absolutely shocking. I am not someone who likes the sun. I really am. Me and heat don't go down well. I work outside and eat every day. Oh, it's terrible. I think I've slept on the sofa now for like about a week because our bedroom is literally like a sauna. It is so uncomfortable. It's terrible. It's just easier down here. I brought me a new fan, digital fan. It's the future. It's got a remote control and everything. It's the future. So I brought one of them, and I've been staying on the sofa with that blasting full whack at me. Terrible. I hate this weather. I really, really do. It's not good. Not good for me. I'm boring. I'm miserable like that. Just give me the rain any day. You can get yourself dry, get yourself warm. But when it's warm and sticky and clammy and bits and sticking in places but they shouldn't be, it's not comfortable. I like it. Anyway, let's get it out of the way. It's Neil here, or as my niece Frankie and my daughter Lottie like to call me, Neil Orange Peel. I'm your host for today. And today we are talking about the Demon House in Gary, Indiana. Yes, that place that Zak Bagans done a documentary, film, mockumentary, whatever the fuck it was. He did a program about it, and it was also released this year called The Deliverance on Netflix. It is a story about the Amons family. I haven't seen it, but I know it's based on the story about what happened in the house. If you saw that, I think it went to #1, so it must have done well. Then people probably know about it. But now, before we go into the Demon House, let's still get the housekeeping out of the way. And what we're going to do is, I've looked on my Spotify for creators, and I've had over 250 downloads now. So for someone who just literally runs this with a laptop, a microphone, a can of iron brew for energy in my living room, and I do all this by myself, that's not too bad. For someone from the black country, who a lot of people probably laugh at when I speak because they don't understand me, that's good. And on my Instagram, I've got now just over 250 followers. It's let's_talk_about_pods. Or you can, and my email is doing. I had an email today, the other day, off the Girlfriends Forever, because they asked for a ghost story, and I sent them a story about my dad's, and they posted it. They did it on their show. So thumbs up. Thank you very much to Girlfriends Forever. Thank you for reading out my story. He's read it really well, and they even give the podcast a good shout out as well. So thank you very much, Girlfriends Forever. Two friends. One does true crime. One does a paranormal story. They started the same time as me, to be honest, and I'd love to go and listen to them, give them a good shout out. They're doing really, really well. So two American ladies doing really, really well. Thank you for reading my story, and thank you for giving my pod a shout out. So yeah, so I'm not it really did surprise me. And it means so much that people out there listening to me, who's a nobody. I'm literally, like I said before, I am the snake belly. I'm the lowest of the low on this podcast world. So thank you very much. So if you like the podcast and you like what's going on, doing boys, hit the 5 stars, like, subscribe, leave me some feedback. I got my first feedback this week on the 80s film. Friend of the podcast, Where the Dead Gone, thank you very much, mate. He left me a comment and he said the training montages were the best in the 80s films, and I agree, because I used to memorise them training montages. I used to watch them all the while, doing press-ups and sit-ups in my bedroom to them all the time. I'd kick a tree. Thought about it, but then I thought, no, that's probably going to make my leg. And I did the splits across the chairs because I couldn't do the splits. But I did do all the training montages. Loved them. Love a good training montage. So thank you very much. Where the Dead Gone really does mean a lot to me. Thank you very much. And like I said, everything's coming out. It's slowly and getting up there. Slowly working up that ladder. Really, really good. So if you do like the show, if you want to give me some feedback, whether it's good feedback, bad feedback, whether it's like, just trying to say, why don't you do this bit better? Why don't you that bit better? Is it critique or something? I don't mind. Feedback is feedback, and I will take anything on board. If you want to come on the show, I've got a link here I can literally send you, and you can come straight on and we could do a podcast together. You could jump on the show, you could help, you could just listen and react to the story, or we could just talk about whatever you want to talk about, whether it's English stuff, or even if you're from America, we can do a swap in the language, because you call them pants, we call them trousers. Our pants and like what we wear, like our, the little tiny little pants, little white fronts, or little boxers or whatever. them in our pants, but you call them trousers. You know, our chips, and you go to the chip shop and you get a fish and chip, but you call them fries. You know, our fries, I'm like, but you go to McDonald's, them and fries sauce. So there's lots of different things. We could make an episode over that and just have a laugh, taking the piss out of each other about that sort of thing. I would gladly do a collaboration with anybody if they wanted to come on and do a collaboration, or if any podcasts want to do a collaboration. I would gladly, I'd love to do that. Really, really would love to do that. Now, we could have like, you know, proper like two-way conversation going on, and your ideas and my ideas and your opinions, my opinions. And I would absolutely love that. I think that would absolutely be brilliant. It really would. So if you want to come on the show or you want to do a collaboration, just get in touch. Let's talk about pods@gmail.com or let's_talk about pods on Instagram. You know, you can always contact me there. I will gladly have a chat with conversation with anybody, no matter what it is or what it's about. So this week, what have I done this week? So this week was my birthday. I was 48 on Tuesday. So I've got my cap, as you can see there. Let's talk about podcast cap that the wife brought me. Thank you very much, Luce. And look, then the wife and my daughter, Lottie, got me this T-shirt. Look at this. Ask me about my podcast. How good's that T-shirt, eh? That is absolutely brilliant. Also, they've got me a cast planner book. Comes very, very handy. You can put all your stuff in about your show and everything and all that. Very, very good stuff. Very, very thing. I think they're trying to say something really, dropping an hint. But really, really good. Thank you so much for that. Very, very good. What we did, well, for my birthday, we went away. I took the podcast on tour. We went to Althorbury Castle. Had a nice day around there. Had a nice stayed in an hotel. It was great. It really was. I had a really good time. A really good time. But what we did is also do as well. We watched a program on Netflix called Legends. Chap at work who I work with called Maggot. How you doing, mate? Everything all right? He said, Neil, if you watch this program, Legends, I went, no, I've heard about it, I've not seen it. He goes, it's brilliant, you should watch it. So we have something to eat, went down the Soho Walk, had like some food. Still the best Desi bar and grill around here. If you're ever in the Midlands, just look up any of the Soho taverns. The food from there is something special. Honestly, it is ridiculous. It is out of this world, that good. It really, really is. We come back. Our daughter Lottie was staying at a nan's. Isabel and Ryan was doing what teenagers do. So we had the house to ourselves. If you put something on, so I said, we'll put these Legends on. Really, really good program. Really, really good. Really enjoyed it. 6 episodes. True story about people who work in customs in the 90s. Ended up going undercover to go and bust this big, massive drug syndicate. They've literally got no training, not the police, or anything. Steve Coogan's in it, and he's like the leader, sort of like the boss. And it was really, really good. Really enjoyed it. 6 episodes straight off the bat. Boom, 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 boom. Watched them all. I haven't done that since the first season of Line of Duty. Now, if you've not watched Line of Duty, then where have you been? Because that is the one of the best shows that's ever been made. Absolute brilliant. And yeah, it was like that. So it's just really very interesting. The way all the 90s clothes as well. They raid this place in Liverpool and they all come running out in shell suits. They've all got the perms like Harry Enfield, like what they did an Harry Enfield. Oh, I was like, I used to wear them shell suits, so I know exactly where that was coming from. But really, really good. Based on a true story by the guy who was in it. His name was Guy. And I think the book is called Betrayal. And I think that's what it's all about. Really, very good. On 6 episodes, he flies by. When you watch him, he really does fly by. You get into it. So you got that. Line of Duty, another good TV program if you don't want to watch one. It's called Save Me. It's the black guy in The Walking Dead. I think his name is Morgan. He's got a big stick. It's his program. It's his baby. He wrote it and directed it. Oh, it's a brilliant film. Absolute brilliant. He's in it. Stephen Graham's in it. Saran Jones is in it, off from Coronation Street and Vigil. There's lots of actors in there. When you watch him, you'll go, oh, I remember him. I know him. They've all been all the English dramas and that. You know, Aid Edmondson, he's in. He plays a baddie. Really good film. Really good program. I think that's about 6 episodes each. In the second season, Save Me Too. That's another one. So you've got 3 TV shows there. Line of Duty. You've got to watch that. It's absolutely brilliant. Filming the new series as we speak in Ireland. I think it's out Christmas, or it might be out early next year. Can't wait for that, because that is just, it's just brilliant television. Absolutely brilliant. And Legends, not the Tom Hardy film, Craze biopic, or the 80s Tom Cruise film. It's called Legends on Netflix. And you got Save Me as well. Very, very, very good. And of course, I mentioned before a couple of episodes, Runaway on Netflix, the Arlen Coben adaptation. Oh, that was really good. God, I really enjoyed that. That was one of the best things I've seen in a while. Legends Runaways, probably two of the best things I've seen, well, by far this year, by far. But yeah, very, very good. There's a bit of TV for you to watch anyway, so I thought I'd get that out of the way. And I thought I'd show you my t-shirt, because I think it's really, really good. I do like my t-shirt. I think it's really good. And it goes well with my cap. Let's talk about podcast cap. Yeah, so that's all the housekeeping out the way and all that sort of stuff. But what I did need to do today was, and I thought, I don't know if I can do this topic on my own, because it's dark, it's popular. A lot of people have done it. Whatcast has done it, and the Brohio podcast have done it. Red Handed have done it, and they've all done it really well. Whatcast and Brohio did it really well because they put like a comedic tone to it. Serious case, but they made it funny. Yeah, Matt did a brilliant. Matt and CL did it, but it's PL on that one. They did on that, and obviously Nick and Rob did brilliant on the Brohio one. So I thought I had to get somebody in to come and help me today. So I thought, who else could I ask? So who do I know who's into this sort of shit? So I thought, yeah, I found Father My Eye. He's Leslie Nielsen from Repossessed. Made him a phone call. He goes, I said, Father, can you? And he goes, no, I'll call. Oh, fuck. Who else can I do? Oh, God, I need some help on it. I need some help on this one. And I thought, I think there's only one person I know who could help me do this. So I got my Nokia 3210, talked in 0898 Father, and this is who answered the phone.
Hello, Father Ted Crilly speaking.
Yes, the man himself.
Hello, Father Ted Crilly speaking.
Father Ted himself, Father Ted Crilly. The only man who could help me, and he's going to bring Dougal to help me. Ted, you bringing Dougal?
Think!
No. You're bringing Dougal. Is he going to help you?
Think!
What, you want me to have a drink?
Think!
I've got Iron Brew Zero today. As you can see, Iron Brew Zero. Iron Brew powers a podcast, as everyone knows. But I'll have a drink, yeah? So, you going to help me with this case then, or what?
Just fuck off!
But why are you helping me? I need some. I'll call to the Demon House on my own. Zak Bagans made him blind.
Gobshite!
Who? Zak Bagans? Zak Bagans, what is he?
Gobshite!
I don't think he'd like you saying that. Come on, just help me. Come on, Ted. Just go and get Dougal, and you come and help me.
Just fuck off!
Fuck off then yourself if you ain't going to help me.
Gobshite!
Whoa!
Think! 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 Gobshite!
I don't think they're going to help me. It looks like I'm on my own on this one. Right, so before we get into today's topic, let's see where it all this information. So it's the Demon House in Gary, Indiana. Gary, Indiana. Before Gary, he was a very, very, he was a shithole. He really, really was. Zak Bagans made a documentary, The Demon House, as I've mentioned. I think it was made in 2014. I think this happened around 2012. I think this happened. And the film documentary was made in 2012. And obviously we got the Netflix one, which was like, obviously that's going to be more dramatised than what actually happened. But let's get into it. Demon House. The Demon Orgy House, because if you've got 200 demons in that house, there's going to be a lot of banging, if you know what I'm saying. So you've got the Demon Orgy House, and it's a portal to hell, apparently. A lot of people say it was a portal to hell. So let's get into it then, shall we? So before we get into today's topic, it all starts in a tiny little place. Well, actually, it's a massive shithole of a place. That's what Gary, Indiana was. It was full of drugs and it was gangs, and it was that much of a shithole. He got replaced with drugs and gangs. And also he was that full of bad stuff. It was like everywhere you went, he was just, boarded up windows and stuff like that. So he wore a nice place to live. But before the Demon House happened, Gary, Indiana was famous for one thing, being the home of one of, if not the biggest musical legend in history, or shall I say, his story. Maybe that might know you one about. Yes, it's not Vanilla Ice, and it's not Gloria Estefan. It's not even Milli Vanilli. It is the moonwalking, monkey-loving, fairground enthusiast, the bowl selector favourite, Michael Jackson himself. Yes, the Michael Jackson and his family, they lived there until 1969, when the explosion of the Jackson 5 started putting money into the Father Joe's bank and his back pocket, and he says, "Kids, pack your bags, we can get in the fuck out of this shithole." And they went. And that was the last Michael Jackson, LaToya, and all the rest of the clan said bye-bye to Gary, Indiana. So that's Gary, Indiana. We know Michael Jackson lived there. We know it's a shithole. So let's get into the demon house. Is it a portal to hell? Where did all the 200 demons stay, as the house is very bit on the small side? And how much did the Toy Rammons actually get off Netflix for selling a story? We will never know. This week's topic, as we're dealing with the demons, as I said, I found him, Father Ted. I'm gonna ring him back. Ted?
Hello, Father Ted Crilly speaking.
Am you going to help me today? You know, I really could do your help.
Just back off!
Am you going to help?
Just back off!
I don't think he's going to help me today. So, yeah, you're going to help me, so I have to go on my own. Now, this, like I said, this story already has 2 movies based on the accounts of the Ammons family. He's got the Zak Bagans documentary, and he's got the Netflix film called The Deliverance. So you may have heard that case. Like I said, there's podcasts galore on it. I think there's actually a podcast literally just based on the story, and just loads of stuff on YouTube about it as well. Loads of stuff on YouTube. There's a newspaper article called the Indie Star, and they did a big, massive spread on it. It was there like baby. I think because it's happening in Indianapolis. I'm sure it must have been like a Indianapolis newspaper, and they've got videos and pictures. I'll put one of the pictures on my Instagram, let's_talk about pods, and it's got one of the ghosts in the corner. It's one of the famous photos, but they've got police reports. They've got the medical reports from the doctors and the CPS workers. It's got recordings from what the police filmed when they left the camera recording. They've got lots of information. So if you type in Demon House Indie Star, INDY Star, you'll probably find loads more things that I've probably missed. Like I said, there's lots of podcasts that have done it as well. So if you want to look at some other podcasts that have done it, I really would check out the Bro IO, and I would check out Whatcast, because they do it really, really well. Most hauntings are people's personal experience, and their words, the stories, are very limited evidence. This case blows that claim into the world of what the fuck. The amount of people who witnessed all the stuff happening and kicking off is insane. It isn't just family members, it includes professional people. Multiple professional people, ranging from police officers, doctors, nurses, child protection service workers, reverends. And these people are not allowed to lie. They will get in deep shit or go to jail if they do so. And when they write things down on a piece of paper and they put their name to it, that claim is as strong as you're going to get. It really is. They all witnessed this shit going down. And before we get into it, just remember that. So when I'm saying stuff that happened, it was witnessed by professional people, and it was all documented and witnessed by them. So keep that in mind as I go through the story. So tonight we are travelling to Gary, Indiana. The year is 2011, and we are stepping inside 3860 Carolina Street. They've got massive numbers in America, right? I mean, in the UK, they only go up to probably about 100 or something. I mean, what would you say? Right, mate, can I order a pizza? Yeah, where do you want to go to? The 60 Carolina Street, but this is say by numbers, Don. There's a 3860 Carolina Street. A modest single-story rental home that the media would later dub the Demon House. It started the way many of these stories do, quietly. In November of 2011, a mother named LaToya Ammons, along with her mother Rosa Campbell, and her 3 children, aged 7, 9 and 12. So they never released the names. So if I do talk about the children, I'll just refer to them as 7, 9 and 12. Maybe there's big fans of Stranger Things. Who knows? They moved into rental property on Carolina Street as they were looking for a fresh start. Instead, they got an infestation. It was December, in the dead of a freezing Indiana winter, when the families noticed something bizarre. The screened-in porch was suddenly swarming with massive black flies. Dozens of the fuckers. Rosa Campbell would later state that when she killed them, over and over again, the flies just kept coming back. buzzing aggressively against the glass in temperatures that should have killed them instantly, because flies are hanging around in the winter. You know, in the winter, flies normally they either go away or find somewhere nice and warm, or they die. And a lot of them die, but these were big, black, like meat flies. And it was just, if you look at the house, it's like a screened porch sort of thing. And she said it was just, she would kill him and the floor would be black, and she would sweep him up. And a few days later, bang, 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 bang. She'd look again, and it was all back. So where was it coming from? She would lay down fly bombs, and the next morning wake up and the floor would be black, full of dead flies. If I was sweeping them up, throwing them in the bin, the buzzing would start again, banging against the windows, as I've just said. This was the beginning of the haunting of the Amons family. Now remember the flies, because I will come on to the fly bit in a bit later on. After the bizarre and aggressive fly infestation in December 2011, the activity inside 3860 Carolina Street rapidly escalated from strange environmental anomalies to terrifying physical and targeted encounters. Deep in the dead of night, the family began hearing heavy, deliberate footsteps coming from the basement. The footsteps would thud up the wooden basement stairs and into the kitchen. The kitchen door would audibly creak open, waking Latoya and her mother. But whenever Latoya or her mother gathered the courage to check the kitchen, it would be completely empty. Rosa Campbell once reported seeing a distant silhouette of a shadow man pacing across the living room. When she jumped out of bed to confront it, she thought, I'm going to be confronting a burglar. So she prepared herself for an encounter. But when she got there, the figure vanished. However, it left behind a damp, heavy boot print on the floor. By March 2012, the family had been living in Carolina Street for about 4 months. They were already completely unnerved by phantom footsteps coming from the basement, a relentless midwinter fly infestation, and shadowy figures appearing in the living room. So it's starting to kick off, and not in a good way. Because of the mounting tension, the family frequently huddled together for comfort. On this particular Friday night, Latoya's 12-year-old daughter was having a sleepover in her bedroom with a few close friends. The adults, Latoya and her mother, were keeping a vigilant watch over the household. Deep into the early hours, around 2 a.m, Rosa Campbell decided to check on the children in the bedroom. Expecting to find a room full of sleeping preteens, she pushed the door open and froze in absolute horror. Latoya's 12-year-old daughter was not on a mattress. Instead, her body was completely horizontal, hovering suspended in midair several inches above the bed. The girl appeared completely unconscious, deeply asleep or in a trance-like state, entirely unaware that her body was defying gravity. Rosa immediately called out for Latoya. The family, along with the daughter's friends who had been jolted awake, crowded around the bed in utter panic. The room was consumed by terror as they watched the girl float. Desperate and having no medical or physical explanation for what they were seeing, Latoya and Rosa did the only thing they knew what to do. They began to pray frantically. I would have been praying, I'd have been screaming, what the fuck? Let's get this shit done. Praying would have been the last thing on my mind, but they're a religious family, so that's what they did. They gathered around the levitating 12-year-old, reciting prayers and calling out for spiritual protection. After several agonizing moments of intense prayer, the girl's body slowly and gently drifted backward down through the air, settling back into her mattress. When the daughter finally woke up a short time later, the family questioned her about what she had felt. She was completely bewildered. She had experienced no dreams, no sensations of flying or falling, and possessed absolutely no memory of the event, to where she had simply just fallen asleep. The levitation incident was a catalyst that changed everything for the Ammons family. It proved to Latoya that whatever entity was inside the house was no longer content with just scaring adults with noises and shadows. It was now capable of physical seizing and controlling her children. This event is what drove Latoya to take drastic measures, such as smearing her children's foreheads with blessed olive oil, setting up a prayer altar in the basement, and permanently leaving a Bible open to Psalm 91. I don't know what that is, and I'm not going to read it out either, so if you want to know what that is, go and look it out. What they also did, she also got told to you clean the room, do a deep clean in every room with bleach and ammonia. Now, I'm no Breaking Bad fan. I've never seen Breaking Bad, but I'm sure that's like some Breaking Bad kind of shit, that is. I'm not sure you're supposed to mix bleach and ammonia. I could be wrong, but I don't think them two things are supposed to mix. But she got told to do that, so she was cleaning doorways with bleach and ammonia, as well as putting blessed olive oil. on the children's foreheads. Unfortunately, rather than stopping the activity, this incident opened the floodgates. After the terrifying levitation incident, this shifted from a terrifying ought into a full-blown physical crisis. The entities inside the house completely focused their energy on tormenting Latoya Amons, his 3 children, escalated to the point where the state of Indiana had to intervene. Once the entity realised it could physically manipulate the children, the occurrences became. Latoya's 9-year-old son was suddenly seized by an invisible force and held violently across the room in front of his family. The youngest son, who was only 7, began isolating himself inside a dark bedroom closet. Latoya and her mother, Rosa, would stand outside the door and hear him having fluid back-and-forth conversations with an empty room. When Latoya finally asked him who he was talking to, the little boy calmly told her that her voice was describing to him exactly what it felt like to be murdered. Imagine listening to that. So you listen to your son having a conversation to someone like an invisible friend. And when you say, "Oh, what's your invisible friend saying to you?" And he goes, "He's telling me exactly what it feels like to be murdered." That's some dark shit, that is. Dark, scary shit. All 3 children began suffering from sudden, unpredictable psychological and physical switches. Their eyes would roll completely into the backs of their heads. Their faces would contort into rigid, unnatural and menacing grins. Most disturbingly, they began growling at their mother and grandmother. Latoya noted that these weren't normal childhood traumas or tantrums. Their voices would warp into deep, gravelly, guttural tones that physically sounded like grown adults, completely disconnected from the children's normal voices. So they'd be like, 7, 9, and you're going to come off that Sega Mega Drive? Well, share the snares, be nice. They'd be like that sort of stuff. On April the 19th, 2012, desperate and terrified that her children were losing their minds, Latoya took them to their primary care doctor, Dr. Jeffrey Onyeukwu. I had to break that name down. Onyeukwu. So for this story, we're going to call him Dr. Jeff. It's a lot easier. So they went to see Dr. Jeff for medical and psychiatric help. It was a beautiful spring day, but the moment they stepped into the medical clinic, the children snapped. The boys went into a frenzy. Their eyes bulged. They began growling in those deep, unnatural, guttural voices, and the youngest boy lunged at his older brother, attacking him. Then moments later, he would swap, and the elder brother would lunge at the younger brother, and then they would swap, and the younger brother would lunge at the eldest again, and this went back and forth. Dr. Jeff, a seasoned medical professional with over 20 years of practice, later recalled being completely stunned by the sheer audio of it. It didn't sound like children acting out. The sounds were deep, guttural and gravelly. He later admitted to reporters, 20 years, and I've never, ever heard anything like that in my life. I was scared myself. What he should have said was, I heard nothing like that before in my life. I was scared shitless. That's what I would have said. The examination room dissolved into pure chaos. The medical staff realised this was completely beyond a standard paediatric checkup. Fearing that the children were experiencing a severe shared psychiatric crisis, or that there was an extreme unsafe environment at home, Dr. Jeff made the executive decision to call 911 and contact the Indiana Department of Child Services, the DCS. The response was massive. Multiple Gary police officers and the emergency medical technicians swarmed the clinic. The children were so combative and manic that emergency responders had to physically restrain them, strapping the boys down onto ambulance gurneys. They were rushed via emergency transport to the nearby Methodist Hospital Northlake emergency room for immediate psychiatric and physical evaluation. This was no longer just a mother claiming her kids were acting strangely. A highly respected local doctor had now officially documented that he witnessed inexplicable, terrifying behavioural anomalies. Valerie Washington was from the DCS, that's the Department of Child Services. She was their case manager that was assigned to the family. Her job was to figure out if the kids were being abused, neglected, or if the family was experiencing a shared psychiatric delusion. Folie à Deux. That was the name of the second Joker film with Joaquin Phoenix. I don't know what that was. That's what it must have meant, psychiatric delusion, which, if you watch Joker, good film, very good film. You wouldn't understand the reason why it's called that, but I've never seen the second one. Washington was a seasoned professional. completely sceptical of anything paranormal. She fully expected to walk into the hospital room and find the children who were there either acting or be manipulated by their mother. Washington was inside the hospital examination room conducting her official assessment. Longer was Willie Lee Walker, veteran registered nurse on duty at the hospital. Toya Amons was also present in the room. The focus was on Latoya's 9-year-old son and trying to determine if the children were safe or if they were faking their behaviour. According to Washington's official multi-page DCS case report, as I said, the Indy Star have got all these reports, so you can go and check all this out. They've actually got them all written down. He was sitting in a chair, holding his grandmother Rosa's hand, when suddenly from nowhere, the boy's face contorted into an eerie, unnatural, rigid grin. His eyes became fixed, and suddenly the room took a dark turn. The 7-year-old boy began baring his teeth, growling, and his eyes rolled into the back of his head. He suddenly lunged at his older brother, trying to strangle him. Latoya and Rosa tried to pry him away, but it was impossible. He had the strength of a weightlifter, and he took multiple adults to pry him away. As the room fell into panic, the 9-year-old boy suddenly snapped into a trance-like state himself. In a burst of aggressive, unnatural strength, the 9-year-old boy turned on Rosa and began violently headbutting his grandmother directly in the stomach. Rosa Campbell didn't let go of the boy. Instead, she tightly gripped both of his hands in hers and began to pray frantically out loud, trying to break whatever trance or force had seized her grandson. It was during this exact moment of desperate prayer, while Rosa was still holding his hands tightly, that the boy stopped headbutting her. He looked up, fixed a terrifying, rigid grin on his face, and without even breaking his grips on his grandmother's hands, began gliding backwards and straight up the vertical drywall, ascending towards the ceiling. Once he reached the significant height of the wall, completely defying gravity, the boy flipped over through the air, clearing his mother Latoya and landing squarely back down on his feet on the hospital floor. Throughout the entire sequence, the boy never lost his footing on the vertical surface until the flip, and he never broke his terrifying grin. So you look at what he's done there. That's some Ninja Warrior or Takeshi Castle. That's fucked up parkour. There is parkour, motherfucker. And if I remember right, I watched one of the documentaries on YouTube, and they actually got some gymnasts and some parkour people to actually try and replicate that, and they couldn't do it. They literally couldn't do it. They could do it to a certain extent, but when they was reading like from the DCS report, exactly word for word what they did. So he holds her hands, and then he walks backwards, or glides as they say, and starts walking up the wall. So now he's holding his hands out straight. His feet are on the wall, and he's going up the wall like this, and then pushes off the wall, somersaults over his nan, and lands on his feet, while holding his nan's hands. That's like some Matrix stuff, that is. It's crazy. Definitely Ninja Warrior stuff. Definitely parkour shit. But not from a 9-year-old kid. The reaction in the room was instantaneous panic. Valerie Washington and Nurse Walker were frozen in absolute shock. No wonder. They knew what human anatomy and physics allowed a 9-year-old child to do, and what they had just witnessed completely broke those laws. Terrified by what they had just seen, both Washington and Nurse Walker turned and ran straight out the examination room to get away from the boy. Nurse Walker would later explicitly corroborate Washington's official state report to the police and the media, stating, "He walked up the wall, flipped over, and stood there. There's no way you could have done that. This kid was not himself." Crazy. I mean, just imagine if you did actually see that. I mean, that's a lot to take in, especially if it's, like I said, it's a young kid as well. This single incident changed the entire nature of the case, because Valerie Washington had to document every single detail of her investigation for the state. This gravity-defying act was officially typed into a State of Indiana Department of Child Services case report. When the Indy Star newspaper later broke the story wide open, in January 2014, they obtained these official redacted DCS records. They said if you go on the Indy Star, you can see all this. The documents explicitly detailed that medical staff and a caseworker witnessed the child walking up the wall backwards. This is what I was talking about. multiple witnesses witness this happen. Professionals that are not allowed to lie. So if they're writing their name down to this, it has to be true. It really does. They're not going to, one, they're going to gain from lying for it. If anything, they're going to get, they're probably going to get a little bit of shit for lying if they did. They'd be a case of like, can you really trust him? And, is it true what they did? So they cannot afford to lie. The job is literally on the line. April the 20th, 2012, the next day. Because of this terrifying display, DCS officially took temporary emergency custody of all 3 children that very evening. It was the youngest boy's 8th birthday, and they were singing happy birthday and eating cake when Washington and her team walked in and ruling that the spiritual or psychological environment surrounding the children was fundamentally unsafe. It was this exact medical report that later convinced Gary Police Captain Charles Austin and Reverend Michael Maginot that they were dealing with something genuinely unexplainable, leading to the official police investigation and 3 formal exorcisms that followed. Charles Austin, I thought he played for Southampton. But the demons were not only pissed off with the Amons family, they were pissed off with anyone that was connected to the Amons family. They included police officers and reverends. They were not off the hook. So, who was Captain Charles Austin? Captain Charles Austin was a 36-year-old veteran of the police force. Austin was a seasoned, street-smart investigator who had seen the absolute worst of human nature. His experience on the force made him profoundly cynical of any of the supernatural claims. Captain Austin assumed it was an elaborate scam. He openly admitted it to journalists. They initially believed the family had concocted a bizarre, sensationalised tale of demonic possession solely to break their lease or to pull off a financial hoax to make money. Captain Austin, along with 2 other police officers, decided to conduct an official walkthrough of the empty Carolina Street home, and the police officers that come was from different places. You had Captain Austin and you had a couple of other police officers, but because the case had got so much notoriety, other police officers from other cases, I said, I ain't work today, but can I come? I'll jump on that as well, and I'll be like a second pair of eyes. And so you had a couple of outside forces coming as well, which is very, very rare. Almost immediately, the sterile police investigation was disrupted by unexplainable technical failures. The officers had equipped themselves with standard surveillance gear and recording devices. Despite inserting brand new fresh batteries right before entering, their audio recorders and camera batteries drained to zero completely within seconds of stepping inside the property. Very, very common in hauntings, that is. Very, very common. On one of the audio recorders that managed to capture data before failing, police later played back the tape. Amidst the heavy static of the empty house, the recording had clearly captured a gravelly, disembodied voice whispering a single word. Before leaving the property, Captain Austin took several photographs of the house exterior to document the perimeter for his police file. At the time the photos were snapped, the house was completely locked, secured and entirely empty. When Austin later developed and reviewed the official police photographs, one image stood out. In the window of the empty rental home, the camera captured the distinct, clear silhouette of a shadowy, hooded figure looking back out the street. This is the photo on my Instagram page, let's_talk_about_pods. If you click on that, you will see that actual picture. The landlord later confirmed that absolutely no one had authorisation to be inside and the locks had not been tampered with. As a meticulous investigator, Austin had also used his own personal iPhone to take numerous high-resolution photos of the house's interior, the basement altar and the perimeter to attach to the official police file. So he used the police camera and he also used his own iPhone. However, when he went back to access his phone to log the evidence, every single photograph he had taken inside 3860 Carolina Street had completely vanished from his device's storage. Other photos on his phone from before and after the walkthrough remained completely intact, but the visual evidence of the demon house had been entirely wiped. The most terrifying and physically documented experiences Austin had experienced while he was inside, and even standing outside, as his official police vehicle was in his official police vehicle right after leaving the property. While Austin was standing completely outside his parked police cruiser, he watched in shock as the electronic driver's seat began moving entirely on its own. forcefully sliding all the way forward and then all the way backwards, cycling repeatedly without anyone touching the controls. Another incident was while driving from the Demon House. The police vehicle's AM/FM radio began malfunctioning widely. Through the heavy bursts of static, a deep, menacing and disembodied voice broke through the speakers. The voice explicitly growled a warning directly at the veteran captain.
"You out of here."
What truly broke Austin's skepticism was after speaking to all the professionals and everything he personally witnessed himself. Austin was convinced that this was not a manufactured parental scam and did something highly unusual for a high-ranking law enforcement officer. He went on record to validate a haunting. Very, very rare you would get a police officer say that. Reverend Michael Maginot. Let me show you Reverend Michael Maginot. Have you ever heard of this bloke?
Hello, Father Ted Crilly speaking.
Have you ever heard of him? He's a good bloke. He's a good bloke. You're a good bloke, are you, Ted?
Gobshite!
Reverend Michael Maginot, a Catholic priest from St. Stephen Martyr Church in nearby Maryville, Indiana, was brought to the case in April the 20th, 2012. He received a frantic call from the Methodist hospital chaplain immediately following the wall walking incident. The hospital staff told him, "We need an exorcism." People ran out of a room after they saw a boy walking backwards up a wall. When Reverend Maginot actually stepped inside 3860 Carolina Street to investigate, his experience mirrored the terror felt by the police and social workers. When Reverend Maginot entered the empty house to evaluate the claims, he was already trained in the church protocols to look for psychological or natural explanations first. He witnessed things that completely defied logic, so he's looking for signs of like damp, mould. He's looking for things like that, gas, maybe a gas leak, things that could cause sort of things that could happen like with your mind, especially like damp and mould. While standing inside a room with completely sealed windows and no functioning air conditioning or heating unit running, Maginot watched the heavy Venetian window blinds begin to violently sway and swing back and forth on their own. He reported that the lights in the home would intensely flicker and dim, specifically in rooms he walked into. Like police officers before him, he also noted finding fresh, unexplained wet footprints appearing on the floors in sealed rooms. So he's walking around and then suddenly he's finding like a footprint of a boot in rooms. After his walkthrough, Maginot interviewed Latoya Amons and her mother to test if the affliction was a psychological performance or a spiritual in nature. He utilised a small, blessed crucifix. Every time he pressed the crucifix against Latoya's forehead, her body would immediately and violently go into intense convulsions. Maginot noted that it wasn't just a normal reaction. It was a sudden, jarring physical rejection of the holy object that she shouldn't seem to control. Convinced that the house was infested, Maginot requested official permission from Bishop Dale Melzek to perform a formal major exorcism. While waiting for the official decree from the Vatican and the diocese, Maginot performed what he called an intense blessing, a minor exorcism directly inside the house. During this grueling 2-hour ritual, Maginot was accompanied by 2 Gary police officers and a DCS caseworker, a different one this time. The atmosphere inside the home became heavily oppressive. The state workers present during the ritual reported feeling a heavy, choking sensation, describing it as, "I was feeling like someone was in the room with me, and she was breathing down my neck." Once the bishop officially was granted permission, Reverend Maginot performed a total of 3 formal exorcisms over the course of the summer of 2012. 2 of the rituals were performed in English, and 1 was performed entirely in Latin. These intense, spiritually exhausting rituals were specifically targeted at breaking the attachments to Lawyer Amons and her children. For Reverend Maginot, the Demon House case was the most bizarre, extreme situation he had ever encountered in over 30 years of priesthood. When the Indiana Department of Child Services seized the 3 children, they were separated into 3 different environments. The Reverend also told Latoya, have you been told by any voices, or have you been anything come to you in a dream, or has anything strange happened? She mentioned the fly incident. And he said the fly instant is one of the high-ranking demons. He said demons come down in levels, but there is very, 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 I think there's 6 or 8 high ranking demons. And one was called Beelzebub, not Beetlejuice, Beelzebub. And he's the Lord of the Flies. He said, and the other demon that she couldn't mention anything, but due to the fact that the kids was being attacked, there was another demon, I can't remember that name. He was one that, like, he was well known for attacking children. So once they knew what demon they could, like, confront, that was what he used when he did his exorcisms. He tried to get rid of Beelzebub, not Beetlejuice, Beelzebub. The children were evaluated by psychologists and placed into temporary foster homes and medical facilities. While state caseworkers and hospital nurses had witnessed the gravity-defying events, the state's official psychological evaluations took a highly sceptical view. Medical professionals officially labelled the situation a case of shared delusion, claiming the children were acting out of mimicking a delusional system perpetuated by their mother and grandmother. So they think basically them just role-playing and doing what the mum and grandmother have told them to do. And basically that's sent them a little bit crazy. Toya was only allowed strictly monitored supervised visits with her children. She was told by the state that to get them back, she had to prove she could provide a stable, safe and mentally healthy environment, which to the state meant getting away from the haunted house. 1 week after the children were taken into the state custody, when the Gary Police Department, the Department of Child Services and the family returned to 3860 Carolina Street to systematically inspect the property. When DCS caseworker Valerie Washington, Rosa Campbell and the 3 Gary police officers went down into the dark basement, they found a shrine that Latoya had desperately constructed weeks prior to try to combat the entities. It consisted of a small table covered in a white sheet, adorned with burning candles and religious statues of Jesus and Mary. There was a case that apparently when she was doing this burning candle, she nearly burnt down the basement. Whether that's true or not, or whether it's just as the stories grow and like Chinese whispers, but apparently she said she was burning sage and burning that many candles, she nearly burnt the fucking house down. True or not, I don't know. To protect the shrine from being corrupted by what she believed was a demonic infestation, the Latoya had drawn a distinct, thick ring of salt completely circling the table. While inspecting the layout of the basement, police officers and Reverend Michael Magino noticed a glaring structural anomaly right under the wooden stairs. Unlike the rest of the basement, which had a standard poured concrete floor, the concrete directly underneath the staircase looked intentionally cut away, exposing a patch of raw, open dirt. Intrigued and suspicious that something occult or illegal might be hidden there, the police officers procured a shovel and decided to dig up the dirt floor. The officers dug a hole roughly 4 feet by 3 feet deep into the dirt under the stairs. They didn't find human remains or a demonic pentagram, but what they did pull out of the earth was highly bizarre. Disjointed collection of personal items that many believe were buried as part of a curse or a ritual. And here is what they found. A pink plastic press-on fingernail. A pair of white female pants. So yeah, a pair of white female panties. Or knickers. Or Bridget Jones things. A political shirt pin. They say if it was Obama or whoever it was. A metal lid for a small cooking pan. Several old candy wrappers. A pair of socks that had the bottoms intentionally cut off right below the ankles. A heavy, solid metal object that resembled a commercial drapery cord weight. Some strange things to have buried under us a staircase. I don't get how that could be classed as like a ritual or cultish neither. Not them objects anyway. Knickers and the nail, but yeah, normally there's like hair and stuff, but yeah, very strange. The digging was heavily disrupted by the exact paranormal anomalies that came to define the house. While the officers were actively unearthing these buried items, the batteries in their digital audio recorders completely drained to zero in an instant, despite being fresh in the morning. Again, so they changed the batteries, they've gone down, put in some new batteries, started digging, bump, zapped again. Typical. It was one of these glitching recorders that the police later discovered an otherworldly voice whispering the word "hey" through the static, which I did earlier. Believing the area underneath the stairs was the literal epicenter of the haunting, Reverend Magano immediately poured blessed holy salt over the freshly dug dirt to seal the ground. I don't know, you could holy salt. So let's take this all. Let's rewind a little bit and let's take all this in. The kids have been taken from Latoya and the nan. They've been placed into separate foster care homes. Ollie Austin, not the footballer, has seen some crazy shit. Father Ted, Google, Agano, whatever his name is, he's found a secret altar in the basement which had offerings buried in the ground as if it was something to do with a cult or maybe a ritual. He's then done 3 exorcisms on the house, and the last one was in Latin, which means he's not fucking about. Plus, during the sessions, Latoya would actively convulse when the holy water or a crucifix was applied to her. But as the final Latin exorcism wrapped up, Magano noted a distinct palpable shift. The violent physical rejection stopped, and an overwhelming sense of peace finally settled over Latoya. Officially declared the exorcisms a success. So, this is what would have happened if this would have been in this house. Luce would have gone to me. Neil, orange peel, sort your fucking shit out. So I was like, okay, get Lottie and take her to Poundland. Here's 50 quid. Go and buy 3 items, because you know Poundland, nothing's in there as a pound no more. Ryan, he'd be out with his mates at a rave. Belle, would be round a friend's house. So I'll be in the house on my own. I'll be right. You demons want to fight? Let's fucking do it. I'd walk up the stairs. I'd take off my shirt. I'd put on my John Claude pants. Put on my Batman socks. Come downstairs, stand in the middle of the room, and I'd go full Billy in Predator at him. I would stand there. I'll get one of Lottie's pens, one of her marker pens, draw a line across my chest, and I'll go, demons, let's get it on, motherfucker. And I would go full Billy off Predator at them. I really would, in my pants and my socks, and my Batman socks. And we know who'd win. Definitely. If you've got the John Claudes on and you got your Batman socks on, shit is definitely going down. So that's how I would have dealt with her in this house. So now Latoya and Rosa are back in the house trying to get a plan together to get the kids back, as the last exorcism seems to be okay and everything's worked. With the spiritual battle won, Latoya immediately took steps to satisfy the state's demands. She knew she could never bring the children back to Carolina Street. Latoya permanently packed up her family's belongings and fled the city of Gary, moving to a new apartment in Indianapolis. In November 2012, roughly 6 months after they were initially taken, the state of Indiana officially returned full custody of all 3 children to Latoya Ammons. So she got all the kids back. That's good. At the end of the day, the kids need to be with the mum. DCS continued to monitor the family closely for a short period to ensure the children were attending school and remaining stable. The moment the family relocated to Indianapolis, the paranormal activity stopped completely. The trances, the unexplainable growling, the physical violence, and the medical anomalies vanished. The children immediately returned to living completely normal, healthy lives. So that's the Ammons family. So that's the Deliverance. If you watch the Deliverance, that's probably what that's all about. It's not going to be the next bit that I'm going to talk about. Because the next bit brings me into the other one, the Demon House. Iron Brew Zero. That is a tasty drink. Very tasty. So, this brings us to the second part of the Demon House and the man they call Mr. Ghost Hunter or Mr. Demon Hunter. Some people call him Mr. Ghostman, or people may know him as Zak Bagans. Now, I don't know how to say his last name. Some people say Bagans, some people say Bagans, some people say Bagans. Zak Bagans. I've always known him as Baggins, as in Bilbo. People who don't know who Zak Bagans is, he's a guy who basically runs all the ghost programs and ghost stuff you see on TV. He's the presenter of Ghost Adventures and has a museum in Vegas that houses an extensive and notorious collection of paranormal artifacts, haunted objects, historical oddities, and dark pop culture memorabilia. Oh, if you've watched any ghost shows that I'm on telly, Ghost Adventures started, I think, around 2012. There was Zach, there was Nick Groff, and there was Aaron Goodwin. And he was just them 3. Now, if you ever watch Most Haunted, and you used to do all the investigations, this is basically exactly the same. The three of them will go off. Zak was he's like the host and the presenter, and Nick and Aaron was like the cameras crew, but they used to do their own investigations as well. The early ones was really good, to be honest. I think it got to about season 9, and I think that was when Nick left. They had like some dispute. Nick left, and then he brought in like some other people then, and there was Jay and I think they're both called Jay, I think. Or Jay. I know one's called Jay, I think one was called Jason. And he started going away from ghosts then. He started going more towards the demon side of things. And one thing about Zak when he does his investigating, he talks to all the crew like they're a piece of shit. He's always shouting at them. He's always, Aaron, get down there now. Nick, there was a morgue. I remember the one episode they went to this mortuary. And he's like, Nick, get in that tomb now, where they put the bodies in the coffins in the fridge sort of thing. Get in there now. And he starts like just barking orders and shouting at him. He talked to them all like shit. He really does. And then Nick obviously went off and did Paranormal Lockdown with Katrina Weidman. Brilliant ghost program. That was really good. That was a really good program. Excuse me. And Aaron stayed with him. But if you watched, what was that called? Project Fear, Destination Fear. So you had like a guy called Dakota. He ended up becoming like a background cameraman. He ended up doing a show called Destination Fear, which then got cancelled because, again, he had another dispute with Zak. So he made a YouTube channel called Project Fear. And he does a lot of ghost hunting on that. He's got his sister with him and his 2 best friends. And they do the things. But what they do is they push fear into the program, Destination Fear or Project Fear. And they do like a walk around and they do the tour and they do the investigation. But then they all go, because they stay in the building, they sleep in different areas of the haunted building on their own. No camera crew with them. Literally, it's just the 4 of them and a camera. That's good. It is scary because on the one episode I saw, there's the door overnight. And the one is Sister Chelsea. She actually went to sit in the thing in like this room, and they handcuffed her to like a door. And he's like, well, if anything happens, what am I going to do? No, sorry, that's the look of the draw. Yeah, another guy got handcuffed and blindfolded all through the night. Yeah, they do push the boundaries. They really do. Project Fear. It's on YouTube. Just type in Project Fear and you'll see. Or if you want to watch it on Sky or Virgin, whatever, then type in Destination Fear. But that is pretty good. Like I said, but Paranormal Lockdown was very good as well. But there was another show called The Ghost Brothers. There was 4 black guys, and they were doing the same thing as Ghost Adventures. And apparently Zak got that cancelled as well. Portals to Hell. You had Katrina Weidman and Jack Osborne going around doing haunted houses. Apparently he got that pulled as well. Now, this is all hindsight, and a lot of people have said that's what he does. He's got that much power. He's Mr. TV. So, whether it's true or not, I don't know, but he hasn't got a good name going around. There isn't many people that like him. So, Nick Groff now has got a program he does with his wife called Death Walker. Him and his wife go around. I'm sure on the one episode I saw a trailer for that, and he had his kids with him. I don't know what you'd want to do with that. I haven't got a clue, but he did. But Zak's got this museum in Vegas, and it's a very, very popular museum. And he's actually done one of his ghost shows. He actually done an actual episode from the actual museum of all the haunted objects in. And I'm going to go through some of the objects that he's got, because he has got a lot of strange stuff. So a lot of things that people want to see. You got the Diblick box. Now I don't know. Just everyone says this word differently. It's spelt DYBBUK. Diblick box. Often cited as one of the world's most haunted objects, this is a vintage wine cabinet said to be possessed by a malicious, restless spirit, a Diblick in Jewish folklore. It is kept in a dedicated room behind specialised glass, and visitors must sign a waiver before entering the exhibit. This box is never supposed to be open. And when he did his show with Post Malone, when there was touring the Vegas, investigating his Vegas museum, Post Malone opened the box. And he said he had about 5 near-death experiences after it, and he had to go see a priest and get exercised and cleansed. So he said yes, because he was like, oh, it's all bullshit, I don't believe this. So he did it, and yeah, it scared the shit out of him and really did fuck him up. He has Peggy the Doll exhibit, a notoriously creepy doll known by paranormal investigators for allegedly causing physical illness, chest pains, and intense headaches in those who look at her or fail to greet her respectfully. There was one of these. I don't know if it's this doll, or it might have been Robert the doll, but he was in like a glass case. And he said, whatever you do, you speak to him respectfully. He's a doll, but you speak to him respectfully. And there was a guy who went in saying, you're a fucking idiot, doll. Come on, doll, hit me, what are you going to do, blah, blah, blah. Really provoking and taking the piss out of the doll. After leaving, I don't know if it's this one or Robert the doll. It was one of them. He went away from the museum, whichever doll it was. And he was driving on his motorbike. He had a crash and got beheaded. And they all say that's what happened when you take the piss out of the doll. It's there for a reason. If it's to say respect it because it's the sort of shit you don't want to mess with. The Devil's Rocking Chair, an antique rocking chair linked to the famous 1980 David Glatzel possession case, which heavily inspired the film The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. That was the third one in the Conjuring film, the one where a guy said he got possessed and didn't realise he did it, and when he went to court, he said it was the devil that made him do it, and this is a rocking chair from the house that they lived in. Charles Manson's belongings. The museum displays personal effects from the infamous cult leader, including his bone fragments, original artwork created in prison, and even the hospital gown that he wore when he died. It's a bit heavy, all that stuff. Here's another one, another prick. The Ted Bundy glasses, the original distinctive tortoise shell spectacles worn by the serial killer during his crimes and subsequent trials. He was an evil fucker, he was. He was a bad one. They reckon apparently he might have been, there were stories saying he was possessed. They were saying because when they used to interview him, his eyes used to turn black. And he used to talk about saying, I don't know that I'm doing it, I get told to do it, and it's like something comes over me. And said his eyes used to go literally pure black. Dr. Jack Kevorkian's Deathmobile, a 1968 Volkswagen Type 2 van used by Dr. Kevorkian to perform some of his controversial physician-assisted suicides. Never heard of him. John Wayne Gacy artifacts, original paintings created by the serial killer during his time on death row alongside personal documents. The James Dean train transaxle, a piece of the mechanical wreckage from the iconic actor's Porsche 550 Spider, famously nicknamed Little Bastard, which carries a legendary curse of causing bad luck and freak accidents to those who own its parts. The Bela Lugosi mirror, a large mirror that once belonged to the legendary Dracula actor, rumoured to hold a dark energy, with subsequent owners claiming to see a shadowy figure pacing inside the glass reflection. On the TV show, when he does the tour of his museum, a real vampire goes in and says, I want to do some scrying. Scrying is where you look, just sit down and just stare into the mirror. And he did that and he passed out. The videos on him, like, and you could see him acting a little bit strange and shaking a little bit, and he just hits the floor, and they had to get the emergency crews to him and take him out, and he doesn't remember anything. He didn't remember any. Here's a strange one. Patrick Swayze's teeth. An actual set of dental molds belonging to the late ghost actor, added to the museum's collection of bizarre Hollywood oddities. So this is a guy who's well qualified in this field, and someone who knows his shit when it comes to ghosts and demons. At the time the story broke, Zak Bagans was already well established as the face of the Travel Channel's Ghost Adventures. As soon as the article hit the internet, Bagans' social media feeds were completely flooded with thousands of messages from fans telling him he needed to investigate the house. Recognising the case as the holy grail of paranormal investigations because of the credible state witnesses, the police captain, the DCS worker, the nurses, etc., Bagans didn't want to pitch a TV episode. Instead, he tracked down the landlord, Charles Reed, and brought the house over the phone, sight unseen, for $35,000. Just days after the article was published, he actually said before he read the first article of the Demon House, he had a very graphic, vivid nightmare about a 12-foot goat man chasing him, and the house he saw in his dream was the demon house. So he'd never seen the demon house, he just heard about it. So he brought it for £35,000. Then when he saw the house the very next day, he's like, that's the house that was in my dream, and I never saw it before. The next day it was all over the news, and he saw it as a sign he had to buy the house. Who, let's face it, the owner had no choice to sell it, because no fucker's going to live there after he was full of 200 demons having a demon orgy every night. I mean, how are they going to sleep? You've got 200 demons shagging around doing God knows what. If they ain't shagging them, scaring people. If they ain't scaring people, they're trying to lure bigger demons. It's just a big, massive demon orgy kicking off every night. But one thing that Charles Reed did mention, he said nobody mentioned anything about the house being haunted afterwards. But he got offered 35 grand, so he sold it anyway. But after he got the Amons family was in there, the tenants didn't stay long. They was in there. They said he wasn't haunted, they just didn't feel right. So it ended up becoming very, very, very known for squatters and drug addicts. So £35,000 for an house seems a good deal, right? Would you buy the demon house for £35,000? If you do, let me know. Because Zak Bagans did, and he merely set out to investigate and document it all, which he did, and he released it with the very original title, The Demon House. Once he had brought the house, he had a phone call from well-known medium Chris Fleming. Chris Fleming, if you don't know who he is, he's like a blonde guy. He's been on all the ghost shows. You name it, he's aware of all the paranormal teams. You know, he was on Most Haunted. You know, he was on the early days of Most Haunted. He was also on the first 2 seasons of Help My House is Haunted. If you're over in the UK, you saw that. He also had his own show with Gail Porter in the early noughties. It was called Dead Famous. They went after the ghosts of famous people. And he went after John Wayne and John Lennon, and there's a few others. There's quite a few of them. Now, I've got to admit, he was riding on the coattails of Most Haunted, because he was around when Most Haunted was at its peak, early noughties. But I've got to admit, he was good. Harry Houdini, they did Houdini's house as well. There's quite a few. Jim Morrison, they saw someone on Jim Morrison's stairs. Someone walked past, and someone in the camera said, "Who's that guy?" And they went down, they went, "What guy?" And they said, "That guy there." So they rewound the tape, and Gail Porter's talking. He said, "No one walked past me." They went, "I did look, there he is." And you see the tape, and see someone physically walked past her. And she's like, "No, there was no one there." And she was very, very, very sceptical of everything. But toward the end, she said she saw that much stuff that she couldn't explain. And that was the one she said, that was, I can't explain it. So that was interesting. But Chris explicitly warns Zak about the severe nature of the entities attached to the property, advising extreme caution. He explained that these weren't standard human spirits, but ancient oppressive forces. As they were speaking, the call suffered from bizarre, aggressive audio distortions. Chris claimed that the entities from the house were actively interfering with the electronic connection and trying to intimidate him. Following his involvement in his own proxy experiences dealing with the energy of this house, Chris reported feeling physically drained and spiritually attacked. On day one of production and the preliminary investigation for the Demon House documentary, the atmosphere was defined by immediate unease, chaotic energy, and a series of strange disruptions that set a dark tone for the rest of the project. The first 24 hours of setting up and exploring the property yield several unsettling events. Upon first entering the home, the crew noted a heavy, oppressive atmosphere. The house was already infamous for an alleged infestation of black flies and claims of up to 200 demons. The team immediately felt unprepared for the psychological weight of the environment. As the crew began setting up, production was plagued by immediate electronic anomalies. Equipment began malfunctioning without a clear technical explanation, a phenomenon Zak later attributed to the entities trying to defer the investigation from the very start. So the ghosts are more trying to do everything they can. They're trying to scare them out from day one. Or don't you hear? So if you put anything electrical, we're going to do something to it. If you're going to go on your own, we're going to scare you. Just trying to deter them from doing anything. On and around the first day, Zak began interviewing key witnesses to build the timeline of the house. This included speaking with individuals like Father Michael Magano and Gary Police Captain Charles Austin. The detailed official accounts of the children walking up walls and bizarre police squad car malfunctions deeply unnerved the crew. It was during these initial stages that Zak and his team began documenting how the curse of the house seemed to travel. People associated with the case, including those calling in or interacting with the production on day one, reported sudden aggressive audio distortions over phone lines, leading to the theory that the entities could attach themselves through electronic devices. Zak tried to get in touch with Latoya and her family, but they were hit with a big "fuck you. We are legally barred to talk to you." And so they got in touch with them and said, nope. They'd already sold the deal then with Netflix, so there was already talking to other film people and documentaries who was going to sell the story, really. Which I can't blame them. If you make money on it, then go for it. But as he couldn't get hold of the original people in the story, Zak was able to track down the tenants who lived there before Latoya moved in. But she didn't turn up on her own. Think about it, if you've lived in an haunted house and you've had something happen, you should turn up on your own. That's what any normal people would do. Instead, she turns up with all her family and kids. While walking through the home and exploring the basement, the former tenant was suddenly struck by an unseen force. On camera, Zak and his crew watched her knee completely buckle as if she had been hit hard in the leg. Zak later admitted in interviews that until that exact moment, his own feelings of anxiety in the house weren't enough to fully convince him of the danger. But witnessing a mother physically targeted right in front of him changed everything. Then one of the darkest and most disturbing pieces of backstory uncovered during the Demon House investigation. She explained that the basement hadn't just become infected with dark energy over time. It had been actively opened up years prior through ritualistic devil worship. According to the sister, well, the old tenant, her brother had become heavily involved in occult practices and devil worship. Devil worship? What the fuck's that? In occult practices and devil worship while they lived in the house. He used the basement as his private sanctuary to conduct rituals, invoke entities, and try to make contact with dark forces. She believes that these rituals successfully ripped open a spiritual portal or doorway in the basement, inviting the oppressive demonic presence that took over the property. So maybe that he was the one that buried them things under the stairs. Maybe that's what he did. That's what he offered. The tenant explained that the entities her brother conjured eventually turned on him. The dark, oppressive energy in the house completely consumed his mental state, leading to severe personality changes and psychological torment. Tragically, her brother ended up dying shortly after, a death she directly blamed on the demonic attachment he brought upon himself through those basement rituals. This specific revelation completely changed how Zak viewed the house. Up until that interview, the public only knew about the 2011 Ammons family case. The brother's story proved two major things to the investigators. One, the house was a portal. The extreme activity wasn't just a random haunting. The basement had been intentionally used to invite dark forces in. Two, the curse had a body count. It showed an historical pattern of the house driving people to extreme psychological distress, self-harm and death. When the sister's knee buckled and she was physically attacked in that exact same basement just moments after talking about her brother, it solidified Zak's belief that whatever her brother had summoned was still down there, active and highly aggressive. After leaving the property, the negative energy didn't stay behind. The former tenant and her children began experiencing severe paranormal anomalies in their own lives. The house seemed to act like a contagious illness by simply stepping inside. She had inadvertently brought an attachment home to her family. So she went in, took her kids for some reason. Well, you take your kids, I ain't got a clue. But she took her kids. I mean, then again, they're going to be on telly, so she thinks, well, I might as well get my 5 minutes of fame. So she took them with them. But when she went home, shit was going on down her home. He was like, oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. The oppression following the interview became so aggressive and terrifying for the former tenant's family that Zak had to step in. He called upon Father Maganoy, not Father Ted, to perform and intervene and do an emergency blessing and deliverance ritual for the former tenant and her children to clear the attachment. He said, this is what Zak Bagans said. It really wasn't until I let a previous tenant come inside with her 3 children when this really shook me and my crew up and took this to an entirely new direction. I sound like him there as well. Beyond the interview with the former tenant, the production of the Demon House was derailed by a series of intense physical, psychological, and medical crises that forced Zak Bagans to completely alter how he shot the film. The situation grew so volatile that the human and multiple individuals associated with the shoot experienced severe life-altering consequences. One of the most disturbing threads of the investigation involved a production camera operator named Adam. After spending time filming inside the location, Adam's behaviour took a sudden, erratic turn. He began exhibiting intense aggression and uncharacteristic psychological distress, eventually becoming a perceived danger to the rest of the crew. In a terrifying escalation at the crew's hotel, Adam began vomiting violently, later vomiting blood, and was screaming at the top of his lungs while attempting to fight an unseen entity, which he described as a goatman, which, as I said earlier, is what Zak saw himself when he had these vivid nightmares before buying the house. Adam said he was following him and he was waiting for him in the hotel elevator. If you watch the Ghost, the Demon House, Zak Bagans documentary, you see all this. This all happens on the actual show. This isn't behind the scenes. This actually happens. Concerned for the safety of the team, Zak was ultimately forced to fire Adam and send him home to remove him from the house's influence. After letting him go, Zak attempted to contact Adam about a month later to check on his well-being. Adam sent a text message apologising, stating that he never wanted to talk about the incident or the house again, and requested that Zak not contact him. Zak later discovered that shortly after leaving the production, Adam went out and had 666 tattooed on the palms of both of his hands. Zak also brought in Dr. Barry Taff, a renowned paranormal researcher and parapsychologist, to conduct scientific testing and readings inside the home. Shortly after visiting the property and returning home for the investigation, Dr. Taft suffered an immediate, unexplained medical emergency. He experienced sudden organ failure that landed him in hospital, nearly costing him his life. Again, this is in the documentary. They said that there is no explanation of the reason what happened to him happened, but they said if he hadn't got to hospital when he did, he probably would have died because every one of his organs shut down. And they could not find any reason why it happened. Zak himself did not escape the physical toll of the house. Following his time spent investigating the property, particularly during the final grueling segment where he locked himself inside the home completely alone, he developed a severe and permanent medical issue with his eyes. The condition caused debilitating double vision, forcing him to wear specialised prism glasses permanently to correct his sight. Now, when I read that, and when Matt and PL spoke about it on Whatcast, I was like, hang on, he wears glasses on the show. I'm sure if you watch the early episodes, he used to wear glasses. So maybe he wore glasses and his eyes were that bad and then they went really, really bad, causing him to have corrective surgery. I'm sure he used to wear glasses on the early shows. I'm sure he did. And as like I said, Whatcast and PL said exactly the same. Because the house seemed to actively dismantle his crew, causing violent outbursts, illnesses and extreme fear, Zak made the decision to stop letting other crew members enter the home. For the climax of the documentary, he chose to conduct a solo lockdown, sealing himself inside the house completely alone in the dark. During this time, he documented intense feelings of oppression, a deep reluctance to leave the property, and captured terrifying audio anomalies, including distinct guttural growls. Zak later explained his theory on why the specific location in Gary, Indiana was so intensely active, knowing that dark entities tend to make their nests where there's lots of violence and people are vulnerable, which is the high number of abandoned properties and social trauma in the immediate area. As I said at the beginning, at the time this was done, it was like a shithole, really bad. It was one of the worst places in America you could go. Realising that the property was essentially acting as a transmissible spiritual disease to anyone who crossed its threshold, Zak officially altered all further investigations and had the house completely demolished in 2016. Yep, Zak shut the door, shouted, "Fuck this," knocked that demon orgy portable house down. But, you know the stairs? Keep that bit. You know the stairs and the secret altar? Keep that. That's coming to my museum. And that's exactly what he did. Today in Zak's Haunted Museum, along with all the other fucked up and spooky shit, the Demon House stairs and altar is there for everyone to see. That, everyone, is the Demon House from Gary, Indiana, or the Demon Orgy House, or the Portal to Hell, or the House of 200 Demons. Or Zak's old house that he knocked down because he was scared. So what do you think? Was it really haunted? Was it made up for money? Or was it bullshit because you just craved attention and wanted a 5 minutes of fame and to appear on Strictly Come Dancing or I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here? Who knows? There is lots of videos and there is lots of evidence. Like I said, there's all the reports from that the Indie Star have got, and they've got all the photos and the recordings, the statements made by professionals. There's so much evidence. It's summer had to have happened. There was another thing, and out of all the podcasts that I've heard, I've only heard Matt from Whatcast speak about this. On Ghost Adventures, Zak used to have a husband and wife psychic team help him. I forgot what the name was. I can't remember off the top of my head. But they used to help him. And they was good together. There was a team, and that there was known as like a ghost hunting couple, basically, husband and wife. They was going to help him do this investigation. But he ended up killing his wife. They had an argument. Don't know what it was over. But I'm sure on the show, he actually has the phone call on the show saying that they've killed. I think it's like an Italian name, if I remember right. And he said like he's killed her. He killed her, then killed himself. And Whatcast is the only podcast that's brought that up. So that fair play, Matt and PL. That that's investigations that you're the only one that's ever knows that one. So credit to you. That's why, as I say, you're the best podcast out there, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean that's pretty weird. So you got the cameraman went all demonic and called himself in dark devil tattoos and 666 and satanic shit. You had the parapsychologist who body shut down on him. You had Charles Austin had all the stuff going on with his car. He also stated on one of the actual stories as well that when he got home, his garage door wouldn't work, so he had to do it by remote. When he did it by the remote wouldn't work. So when he was doing it like manual, he just kept opening and shutting, just go up and down, up and down, up and down. He's like, this is going crazy. And he said like he thought that might have been something from the house. There was also another one saying the Reverend used to travel on a bike, and as he was traveling on his bike, he kept on getting knocked off. Something invisible was knocking him off his bike. So why he don't use a car, I don't know. I ain't got a clue. But it's something about the ghosts. They want him to get there, so they was trying to stop him getting there by knocking him off his bike. So there's a lot of things happening. So you add that to what happened to the Amons family. You add that to what all the professionals saw. There is a lot of evidence to back up the claim that this house was haunted and fucked up. So, yeah, that's the Demon House. I've got to admit, I was looking forward to doing this episode because I've listened to loads and loads of podcasts on this, and I've watched lots of YouTube videos on it as well. And I've looked up the Indie Star as well and looked up a lot of stuff that they say as well. And I was really looking forward to doing this one because it's very interesting one. It's one of them. You have to make your own mind about it. Watch both the film, watch The Deliverance, and watch Zak Bagans' Demon House, and make your own mind up, and then see what you think, and then let me know if you think the house was haunted. Do you think demons was having orgies in there and they just wanted everyone to get out so they could have the sex parties? Do you think it was all made up bullshit and they just wanted to make some money out of it? Because she obviously did make a lot of money out of it in the end. If she sold it to Netflix, it wasn't going to be for 50 quid, was he? So that was it. So that's the Demon House for this week. And Zak Bagans is part in it as well. So now I'm going to go on to the usual bit of the show.
Time for me Sunday roast.
Time for me Sunday roast. And today's Sunday roast is because I'm getting old. It's getting old. That's my Sunday roast. It's the fact that getting old, it's horrible. I'm 48 now. And I've had, in the last, 5 years, I've had I had 5 surgeries in 5 years. This is the this is the second month that in 13 years I haven't had a gym membership come out because I can't go to the gym no more. I used to be a gym freak. I was in there 6, 7 times a week, every day. It was my church. It was my religion. I used to love it. I used to love lifting weights. I used to love working my way up from not being able to lift anything to lifting the heaviest things in the gym. I lifted a car. I deadlifted a car. I deadlifted 240 kilos for reps. I was bench pressing 160 kilos for reps. I was arm curling 28 kilo dumbbells. I could stack every single machine. I could train people, because I knew the muscles you need to it. I knew the machines to it, the exercise to it. I loved the gym. The gym was my church. It was my thing. It was the only thing that I knew I was good at. And I couldn't do it no more. Literally, my body is broken down that much through football. I played football till I was 30. It's a very, very high level. Played football till I was 30. Then I went into mixed martial arts. I did that for 5 years, fighting and in a cage and boxing rings. So I did that. Loved that. I love doing MMA, but fitness level on that. I was a super fit guy playing football. Super fit. I was running like 10Ks in around 45 minutes, like a 10K. I was doing 18-minute 5Ks, sort of thing. I was really was a fit kid, fit when I played football. But MMA, your fitness level went to a different level. It was different level of fitness. I loved doing that. But I couldn't do it. I broke down. My ankle went. I blew my ankle out training for a fight. Again, getting old, you don't heal no more. Bills have got to be paid, so I stopped doing it. The gym, lifting heavy weights. I mean, I used to chest press like the 70 kilo dumbbells and stuff, and the 75s. I don't know. Thinking back now, it was silly because it literally brought my body down to the point where, every single thing aches. I'm 48 and I feel like I'm back. I feel like it's 80. I feel like I'm 84. It's getting old. Back's gone. I went and saw an osteopath this week, and he was cracking me like I was a bubble wrap. He was pressing this and pressing that and crack this and crack that and easy shoulder and this and there's your back. I gotta go back in 2 weeks' time and have some more work done. I went yesterday and I would literally advise anyone to do this, male and female, especially if you're going towards, if you're like 45 plus. Right, it's £89 and it's a general body scan. So I went to this place. It's where they do the 4D ultrasounds when they're pregnant. And went in there, filled in the form, paid the £89, and there's scans of baby pictures everywhere, and there's the balloons, the gender reveals, and all that. And what you go in, you lie on the bed, it puts on your stomach, and you literally have a scan from your stomach down. So he checks your stomach, checks your pancreas, checks your kidneys, your right side and your left. He checks your liver, checks your spleen, and it's like an overall check sort of thing. And I had it done, obviously, because I'm 48 now, and I thought, I want to make sure everything's okay because I want to start I want to get fit again. I want to start running again. I want to start training. I'll train in the garden. I'll go on the punch bag. I'll get on I've got a treadmill in my conservatory. I'll start walking pace on the treadmill. To get exercise again, start getting fit, get back in shape again like I used to be. I was proud of how I used to look. From here, from the shoulders down, I look great. But I want to get back in shape again. And getting old, although I'm 48, I'm happy as Larry. I mean, I love my missus to bits. I absolutely love my missus to bits, and I love my kids. I really do, all of them. Jordan, Ryan, Belle, Lottie. I love them all to bits, and I'm happy being a dad. But I want to be a dad that can do things with them. Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to go to a rave with Ryan. I've done that before. I don't want to go to a rave with Ryan. Belle's going to university next year, so I'm going to be doing a lot of driving around, taking her to university left, right, and centre, and seeing her. So I've got to make sure I can drive and not fall asleep at the wheel because I'm old and out of shape. And Lottie's 6 next month, and She's got so much energy. And I want to, when she's in the garden, I want to run round with her in the garden because she can beat me in a race now. She's that fast. She can beat me in a run. We had to run down the garden the other day and woof, God, she's like Billy Whiz. She's like the road runner. Woof, straight past me. I was like, whoa. Yeah, so, I want to grow up, want to do things and my kids, sort of thing. I'm getting old. It don't mean that you've got to watch Golden Girls and sit down and watch soaps and stuff, 48. I had a bit of a kick up the arse sort of thing, saying you're 48. Yeah, you're old, but you ain't got to be. You can go and do things. You can make yourself better. If you want to be old and sit down here and put loads of weight and feel shit about yourself, then that's your problem. And I ain't doing that. What I'm going to do, get back in shape, get back running, do it. I'm going to do another 5K. I'm going to do a 10K. I'm going to do it within a year. I'm going to do a 5K. I'm going to do a 10K. I'm going to do an half marathon within 12 months. I'm going to, lose some weight, get in shape and be proud. And I'm going to beat Lottie in a race because it ain't nice having a 5-year-old beat you. She's quick. She's really, really fast. Reminds me of Ryan when Ryan used to play football. Ryan was a good footballer, Ryan was. And Ryan was fast. He was powerful. He was strong. But even though he was like 14, 15, 16, he was built like a shithouse. Because he's a big lad now. He trains, he goes on the gym every day. And he loves showing his body off. He's never got his shirt on. He's got the arms and the six-pack. And when he was 14, 15, 16, he was a solid lad. But he was quick. He was so fast. He really was. Really good. So, yeah. And Lottie's like him. She's got his legs because she can just run. So, yeah, it's old. It's getting old. Some of that happens to all of us. And, you either take it on the chin and you end up just letting it grab you, which for the past, I'd say since lockdown, old age has grabbed hold of me, really. He really has. I mean, the operations, they helped and stuff. But I think that when I had my 48th birthday and stuff, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to use this as a kick up the arse, I need and get back to me again. And I'm going to do something about it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sign up for a 5K. I'm going to sign up for a 10K and I'm going to sign up for an half marathon. And I'm going to do them next year. And I'll do it with a podcast and the podcast can come and do it with me. I brought some of them smart glasses, them Meta glasses, not the real ones. They paying £300 for glasses. Jesus Christ, screw that. There was 20 quid off this, what could you say it is? It's a bidding website because you ain't supposed to throw around things. Yeah, it's off a bidding website, but there's 20 quid. But the way I have to do it all. So yeah, I'll do it in there. Put some sunglasses in, so after the summer I can do so. Put the sunglasses lens in. So yeah, getting old and how it can affect people. It can affect people in a bad way. It can affect people in a good way. It grabbed hold of me for a couple of years, and yeah, I was happy as Larry because I've got the woman of my dreams, and I got 4 healthy good kids. But I was happy with myself in that way. So yeah, getting old. That's the roast. Don't let it grab you. Don't let it beat you. Kick its arse. Don't let it kick your arse. And that's it really. Shows coming up. So I'm a little bit tired with shows. I've got in the pipeline. I've got the 80s film one went doing really well. Like I said, I'm doing the 90s one at the moment. And I've found some absolutely beautiful classic films on the 90s because obviously because they're still fresh in your head because you can remember them so much. That's coming on really well. I've had a few people throw me some stuff over. Pam, my friend Pam, friend of the show, Pam DiMinardo, right, Pam? She sent over some stuff. Where are the Dead Gone? He sent over some today. He sent over 2 today. Where are the Dead Gone has? I never heard of them. So I'll be looking them up. No, I've never heard of them, so I'll be definitely looking them up. So, yeah, I'll be looking at that. I've got the Black Monk of Pontefract, the most violent poltergeist in Europe. I've got that one to do. People have asked me if I'm going to do The Crash. There's a TV show on Netflix called The Crash about a 17-year-old girl who drives a car under miles into a wall and kills a boyfriend and his mate, and she survives. And someone says that's supposed to be good, so I watched it yet. So I've got that in the pipeline. I've also got The Mysterious Death of Ray Riviera. It's on Unsolved Mysteries. That is a really strange case. Really, really strange case. I might do that because there's a lot of research got to go into that. So that might be a couple of weeks. I might have to do that in between things because like I said, there's a lot that goes on in that one. I think the Unsolved Mystery Case, I think it's a 2-parter. And I listened to one podcast about it, and that was in 3 parts because there is so much to do. It really is a strange one. So you got the death of Ray Riviera, the ghost of the Black Monk of Pontefract, got the crash. I've also got my mate Ben Dawes, went all the way through school with him, played football with him, top bloke, really, really good friend. Been mates with him for years. Excellent, really top bloke. He mentioned Blackbird. If you ever seen the show Blackbird about the guy with the mutton chop sideboards and Taron Egerton, I've forgot what his name is. He's Jesse something. Jesse. He was a serial killer anyway. He's asked me, he said I should cover that one, and that is a really good one to cover. Very good. If you haven't seen the show Blackbird, that's a very good program. 8 episodes, I think. Very good. So Ben, thanks for shouting that one out. That is a very good one. Might look that one up. I've also got the Pizza Bomber, the show that's on Netflix, The Pizza Bomber, about a guy who goes and robs a bank, and he takes about 20 grand out, but he's got a big bomb on his neck, like a collar bomb, like something out of Saw, and blows him up. And it actually, if you watch the Netflix show, it actually shows you it happened as well. Yeah, that's a fucked up story. That is a crazy story. That is very strange, mad story. So there's that one to do. And also you've got MK Ultra and the Manchurian Candidate. So like that sort of thing as well. But I'm not sure yet which one I'm going to do. I've also got my TV shows that I forgot about. So I did my TV shows, my old school TV shows, part 1. Doing it, I've realised I forgot loads. I've got part 2 of that to do. So I might do that in a couple of weeks' time. I might do a double whammy. I might do one in the week and do the TV shows. I might do on the Sunday, I might do the 90s one in a couple of weeks' time. But next week, it's probably going to be maybe The Crash or 30 East Drive. I'm not sure yet. Or it might be Blackbird. What I want to do with this podcast was one thing is I don't want to pigeon myself into a niche category. I don't want to be a true crime podcast. I don't want to be a paranormal podcast. I don't want to be a shit podcast. Of course. I want to be one that's the name of that's why I called it Let's Talk About podcast. So whatever is going on, I want to talk about it. Whether it's TV, whether it's films, whether it's I hate talking about politics. I'm not going down that. I'm definitely not going down politics route. That's one thing I will stay away from. So I won't give you my political views. I won't talk about Trump. I won't talk about Starmer. I won't do anything like that. So whatever you do, I'm not going to talk political. So that's just the way that is. And I'm definitely not going to go into anything religious or anything that. So I'm definitely not going down that way. But I want to talk about ghosts and aliens. I want to talk about monsters and cryptids. I want to talk about paranormal. I want to talk about true crime. I want to talk about unsolved mysteries. I want to talk about funny things, listener stories. You know, if anyone's got any listener stories, send them in. Whether it's first dates that you've had that have gone completely tits up. Got a few of them. I wrote a book about it. Maybe you went on holiday with your friends and you had some real bad drink and got paralytic and some mad things happened, or you was tripping balls because you was off your head on things you shouldn't have had. So maybe it's them stories. Maybe it's you got a haunted house story or a ghost story. Maybe you've got like a strange experience that you happened, but like maybe in like a followed by something and you don't know what it was. If anything that's a listener story, I would, in time, like to do a listener episode. So if you've got like a strange story, it could even be a funny story. If you've got something that's really, really funny, like my mate, we was at Wolverhampton once and we was trying to get home and we couldn't get a taxi. And we used to go down this little gully. We used to shout, rainbow. And this bloke used to pop his head out the window. And he'd say, how many for? And you go, 6. And a taxi would come down this gully. I don't even know if cars was even allowed to get down there the once. The one day we shouted him the once was like, rainbow, and he wouldn't come. He was like, rainbow, fucking hell, rainbow. He probably said, I call help out, the police have had me, I can't do it. And my mate went, fuck this. And my mate started climbing the wall like Spider-Man. Honestly, he did. I was just like, how is he doing? What's he doing? How is he doing that? To this day. Don't know how he got so high into this wall. He's like shouting and I'll grab him and I'll pull him out the window if he don't get us a taxi. He was like, get down, you dickhead. You know, stuff like that. And my mate went to Wolverhampton once and he was paralytic pissed. And some chap started having a go with my mate Clint. He's like a rocker. He's like a brother to me, Clint was. You know, I seen him for ages. He moved away. Loved the bloke. He got in trouble. He brought some pizzas. He put him down. I had to go with these chaps. So I don't know if there was they had a fight or whatever. And he went back. He's terrible. And he saw these homeless blokes running down the road with his pizzas. But Clint was too pissed to go and chase him, so he just sat there laughing. It's when he told me that story the following day, I was in tears. I was in the pub. But yeah, Clint. God, we had some laughs growing up. We did. We did have some right laughs. I think he's moved to Liverpool. But yeah, I love that bloke. Absolute top bloke. Clint was. I can't remember last time I seen him. It's crazy when you think about that. Last time I seen him was a long time ago. It's crazy how you're friends and you just, you know, shit happens and you drift away really, sometimes. You know, people get married and they move away, or they split up and move away, or, you know, they have kids and just literally become, you know, house dads, or they have kids and will get married and just go off the range and still think they're 18 and still get pissed up and, you know, and stuff. Yeah, it's crazy how when you get older things happen. People's life disappear, or you just lose track of people. Yeah, me and my mates, we had some good stories. Might do one of them episodes one of the days, a trip down memory lane, and talk about some of the things that we used to go to. Like, one of the main reasons why I remember it is because I don't drink, so I was sober through all of this. My mates who used to get drunk, and I'm just typical. Everyone did it, don't they? Apart from me. 48 and I've never been drunk. I'll have the odd shandy now and then if we have, like, me and the missus go for a curry or something, because can't really drink pop and they don't serve iron brew, and so you can't have pop when you're having like a curry. So I'll just have like a shandy for something different. It's just very, very rarely. But yeah, when I used to go with my mates, I was always like the sober one, and then I drove when I was 17, and I was the dedicated driver. And some of the stories my mates used to get into, I was hilarious. And we used to talk about it the following day in the pub. Yeah, good times. Especially, it's crazy when you think about that. It's like, you know, 30 plus years ago. It's like, wow, where did it go? Where did them years go? You know, crazy. When you try and think about it like that. Really is. But yeah, it's one of them craziest things. So, yeah. What was it? What was them days? Was it? What do you think it was? It was the...
I'm the greatest, but you demons never understand.
There. That was monkey magic. What did you say?
I'm the greatest, but you demons never understand.
I am the greatest. Don't you demons ever understand? Yeah, refer that to this house. Called the demon house. So that's it for today anyway. So I'm going to get this down. I'll put it on YouTube tomorrow because it's nearly 12 o'clock and I got to be up at like 4:30 for work. So I'll put the audio out and I'll do the video tomorrow. And yeah, 'cause I've recorded again. So this is the second time. The video, literally, I couldn't believe this. I went on YouTube. I had a look at the video I put on about the 80s films. It's had like over 50 odd views. I mean, I probably watched 52 of them, but that means somebody else watched it. So yeah, that was really good. That really did surprise me. Really surprised, because like I said, it's just me looking at a webcam on a laptop. Strange, talking about old school films, and this one's going to be me talking to a webcam, talking about Zak Bagans and a demon house and just 200 demons having sex orgies. I don't know. Good days. Anyway, thanks everybody. Like I said, hit the 5 stars, like and subscribe, leave a comment. Please leave some feedback. I really would like some feedback. Really would love some feedback, and I'll read it out and I'll give you a shout out on the show if you want to do a topic, or if you wanted some. If you know some 90 films, if you've got any 90s films that you loved but not many other people knew about. So I don't want the big films. I don't want your Screams, and I don't want them sort of films. And the big films, was in those your Titanics, and that sort of stuff, and your Four Weddings and a Funeral. I don't want them sort of films. I want the ones that was like went under the radar. It's like Arnie. Like I said, I'm a massive Van Damme fan, and he had some films come out in the 90s that not many people probably remember, because you always think about Bloodsport and Kickboxer and AWOL and stuff. But he had some of the ones that they do. Arnie and Sly Stallone, Bruce Willis. They had quite a lot as well that went under the radar that not many people have done about. That meant like probably. I mean, to be honest, I looked up the other day on IMDb the Arnie, the Sly, and Sylvester and Bruce Willis ones, and there's films on there I've never even seen. I knew what there was, I'd heard of him, but I've never saw him. Like Sylvester Stallone, Oscar, and Stop All My Mum Will Shoot with Estelle Gettin out of Golden Girls. Yeah, but that's one for another. I'll probably do that in probably 2 or 3 weeks' time, because I want to get all them down, because I think I've probably got about 50 films written down there already today when I was at Lottie's dance class. But yeah, like and subscribe. If you know any films, send them over to me and I'll add them to the list and I will give you a shout out. If you want to come on the show, and we'll do an episode together. It'd be really good, that would, if you can do that. Really would like to do an episode with someone. I'd be a laugh, that would. So yeah, get in touch with me. Let's talk about pods@gmail.com, or let's_talk about pods on Instagram. You can contact me there. So I hope you enjoyed the show. If you do, let me know. And if not, then very really much I can do about that, really. It is what it is. So for this week and all the demons that I'm out there, I'll see you later. Adios.